Orbit Fab, a Colorado-based space startup, is working on on-orbit satellite refueling. It's developing its own refueling port technology and space-based fuel depots in low Earth and geostationary orbit. In addition to its main office in Colorado, it also has an office in the UK, which allows it to compete for European contracts. More about those later. Orbit Fab wants to build the in-space propellant supply chain, with fuel stations in orbit supplying a range of common propellants used by satellite operators. The company believes that spacecraft refueling is critical to a thriving and sustainable economy in space. With over 10,000 active satellites in space and more launched every week, refueling those satellites is a good business opportunity. Otherwise, perfectly good assets become useless, even though they are in good working order, simply because they run out of fuel. Two key pieces of technology Orbit Fab has developed are their grip system, an automated system for attaching to a client spacecraft, and their refueling port, to transfer propellant to the spacecraft. Their CEO, Daniel Faber, said after the technology has been validated that their main technology risk is now behind them. Their refueling port technology, called RAFTI, has already been shipped to customers in the US and Europe. These customers need to include this refueling port on their satellites so they can be resupplied with fuel by Orbit Fab in the future. The US government has also validated and approved their port for refueling US military and government satellites. Orbit Fab has licensed its RAFTI technology to partners for integration and wants to concentrate on fuel sales in the future. Technology. Their RAFTI port is an open license that's at technology readiness level 8 out of a maximum of 9 levels, meaning it's ready for commercial adoption. This port replaces existing fill and drain valves to enable on-orbit and ground refueling. Over 100 commercial spacecraft have this port fitted already. Orbit Fab charges $30,000 for its RAFTI port. RAFTI supports a range of fuel types, spacecraft sizes, and propulsion systems. It has protection against leaks with passive retractable covers. Propellant Compatibility. RAFTI comes with two valves to support transfer of two independent fluids. Most satellites use a fuel and oxidizer for propulsion, so two valves ensures compatibility with nearly all propulsion systems. Orbit Fab supports hydrazine, xenon, high-test peroxide, propene or ethane and nitrous oxide, water and krypton. Xenon and krypton are used on ion engines such as the Starlink satellites. US military satellites use hydrazine, and Impulse Space, for example, use ethane and nitrous oxide in their space tugs. Momentus and Argo Space use water as a propellant. The US Space Force has contracted Orbit Fab to refuel their Tetra 5 satellites. The mission is scheduled for mid-2026. This will be a first-of-its-kind refueling operation and a key test of Orbit Fab's technology. The Department of Defense, or WAR, has contracted Orbit Fab for its first fuel cell in geosynchronous orbit. The price tag is $20 million for 100 kilos of hydrazine transferred in geosynchronous orbit. Why refuel? Satellites dedicate up to 75% of their mass for propellant. This is needed for orbit insertion and raising, station keeping, maneuvering, and deorbiting. Without the need to allocate so much mass for propellant, the spacecraft could be redesigned to carry more sensors or other equipment. Billions of dollars can be saved by refueling rather than replacing satellites. If a satellite runs out of fuel unexpectedly, it becomes dangerous space debris. More propellant means more delta V, or the capacity to move around in space more. This allows for the repositioning of assets, collision avoidance maneuvers, or on-demand retasking. The satellite's lifespan can be extended, increasing the return on investment. Refueling a spacecraft allows a different trade between payload and fuel mass. Entirely new business models become possible that require more frequent maneuvering in space than is possible currently. Orbit Fab's refueling service. Orbit Fab is in the business of selling fuel to spacecraft operators. They deliver fuel when and where it is needed. From designing, planning, and executing the refueling mission, Orbit Fab takes care of everything. The customer simply needs to ensure their satellites are fitted with the RAFTI port needed for refueling. Orbit Fab is planning on operating refuelable fuel shuttles that ferry fuel from their storage depots directly to customer Rafty-equipped spacecraft. GEO Orbiting Propellant Station. Orbit Fab announced plans on launching the first propellant tanker to geostationary orbit. This tanker will establish flight heritage and all the elements of the company's tanker technology. The company successfully launched a small propellant tanker to low Earth orbit previously. The GEO tanker can store propellants for up to 15 years. It will launch as a rideshare on Intuitive Machines' IM-2 mission to the Moon, taking a trajectory that takes it beyond the Moon before arriving in geostationary orbit around Earth. Once the tanker arrives in GEO, hydrazine fuel will be available for delivery to customers. Orbit Fab, part of UK debris removal team. Orbit Fab announced its partnership with ClearSpace, supporting their debris removal satellites with a Rafty refueling port. The Clear mission will remove 2 non-operational UK satellites which have been inactive for more than 10 years. Without removal, these satellites could stay in orbit for over a century before naturally re-entering the atmosphere. They orbit in a congested region of space and present a danger to other satellites. By equipping space tugs with refueling capability, Orbit Fab enables them to keep space clean of orbital debris. Astroport and Orbit Fab join forces for lunar exploration breakthrough. Astroport, a space startup working on lunar landing pads, is partnering with Orbit Fab on in-space refueling and lunar resource harvesting. This is a strategic partnership to accelerate the development of lunar infrastructure and enable sustainable long-term space exploration. The partners will work together to design, develop and deploy in-situ resource utilization systems for the extraction and processing of lunar soil into essential resources such as water, oxygen and metals for the construction of landing pads, habitats and a spacecraft refueling supply chain. Astroport and Orbit Fab will collaborate to enhance Orbit Fab's gas stations in space supply chain architecture, ensuring the availability of fuel and other critical resources for spacecraft operating in lunar orbit and on the lunar surface. The partnership will work towards tech demos both on Earth and lunar-based to validate the feasibility of their solutions. Orbit Fab wins ESA contract. Orbit Fab will receive €750,000 of funding from the UK Space Agency to work with commercial satellite operators to extend the life of their satellites. The funding will be used to develop a comprehensive refueling service for spacecraft, initially targeting the satellite communications market. These satellites reside in geostationary orbit, so Orbit Fab is well placed to refuel them, as it already has a hydrazine tanker heading to this location for the US Space Force. Orbit Fab will be demoing a new high-pressure variant of the company's Rafty refueling interface developed by their UK office. The improved Rafty interface supports high-pressure propellant systems, enabling longer-lasting, more compact and more capable satellite operations. Orbit Fab wins ESA funding to lead ASTRAL, a European landmark in-orbit refueling mission. Orbit Fab was recently awarded a $3.8 million contract from the UK Space Agency and the European Space Agency to lead a European consortium on next-generation satellite refueling technology. A demo mission is planned in 2028 to de-risk and validate Orbit Fab's Rafty fuel port and their GRASP docking interface. The mission will establish the performance of their system in an operational environment. Orbit Fab, along with its European partners, will deliver Europe's first in-orbit refueling experiment using xenon, a common fuel used in ion propulsion systems. In addition to xenon, the mission will transfer multiple other propellants, including nitrous oxide and ethane. This mission includes safely docking, refueling, and rendezvous and proximity operations. Upcoming events. Orbit Fab has a number of upcoming missions. In 2025, its geostationary fuel depot will launch on the Intuitive Machines IM-2 mission, heading around the Moon before settling into a geostationary orbit around the Earth. It will then be able to deliver hydrazine to customers, including the US Space Force, which is scheduled for a fuel transfer in 2026. The ClearSpace orbital debris mission for the UK Space Agency is scheduled to launch by the end of 2028. OrbitFab has a tech demo mission for Europe and the UK starting in 2028. What do you think of OrbitFab's plans to refuel satellites in space? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this space video, consider buying me a coffee to help fund more episodes like this. The link is in the description. Space News Live is on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, depending where you watch from. The live stream is a great way for you to share your thoughts and opinions on the videos I posted this week, or on any space topic in general. I highlight the most thought-provoking comments on videos I've received, along with late-breaking space news and previews of upcoming content. If you got the time, please tune in and say hi. Be sure to like and subscribe so you'll see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry, with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.